All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
Welcome back to another episode of Reignite Resilience. I'm your co-host, Natalie Davis, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you today. And joining me, of course, is your co-host, Pam Cass. Hello, Pam. How are you?
I am fantastic. It is a clear blue sky outside, and it's gorgeous out. So it's perfect. This is my weather. This is my jam right now. So I'm happy.
It is. It's like a
Yeah.
true fall day. Like it truly
Mm.
is fall.
Mm.
The sun is shining. I mean, the week started off a little gloomy, which is always hard.
Yeah, it's hard to have a Monday like that. So we're
It's
skipping that and we're pretending like this is the new Monday.
this is the
So
no, I don't want that either.
yeah, never mind. Never mind. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Just kidding. We don't need 2 Mondays in a
No,
week.
we
We're
don't need
great.
to. No, we're
We're
good.
great. Oh my gosh. Well, I am so excited. We have a very special guest that's joining us today. I'm going to turn it over to you, Pam. Why don't you tell our listeners who's joining us
Absolutely.
today?
Yeah, I'm excited. So today we have joining us Holly Porter. She is a CEO of Holly Porter International, guiding leaders and entrepreneurs to create transformational impact worldwide. Surviving a near-death experience reshaped her mission and fuels her passion to help others rise with resilience and purpose. She brings over 2 decades of business, retreat, and real estate experience to inspire people to expand their vision and prosperity on a global stage. Welcome, Holly. We are so excited to have you. And I'm going to pass it to you to just kind of share some of your story with our listeners.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. You ladies seem fun. I like fun. That's like my motto. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it.
Don't sign
Yeah,
me up for it. Exactly.
that's
I'm
a
not the
good
person.
motto. Yeah, I like that.
I about fell with that motto though, because during COVID, we were just talking before, I almost died, and it's like that
Yep.
was not fun.
No,
No,
exactly.
that was not fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And that I mean that experience really shifted so much in my whole life, up until now. I mean, it's been 4 years ago. Most people, we all suffered from it. It's nobody's, in fact, I've never been able to have anyone challenge me on the statement that I can't think of anything that the whole world didn't suffer from so quickly at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
everyone, and
Yeah,
maybe they didn't get it, but they were affected by it somehow, some way.
right.
There is just, it's something I almost like feel bad for the people that write the history books because that's going to be some wild crap.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
and I think we will see the results of it for years and years
Oh,
to come. Like we won't, because I both Natalie and I had kids in school during COVID. And
mhm.
so just kind of seeing how this generation of kids is have adapted and changed over it and the kids that have come through it. And so yeah, it's gonna be really
Yeah.
interesting. It was definitely the great world unifier because it's the only thing that everyone went through.
Yeah. Or divider, however
Or
you want.
One
divider,
of the two.
yeah.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
I think there was a period of time where I felt like it did almost bring everybody together when I
Yes.
would get on and they'd have those concerts that were virtual and people all over the
Mhm.
world were on these concerts singing. And Andrea
Mhm.
Bocelli, when he was on I think it was the Vatican steps and he sang Ave Maria and then they panned over all the cities and they were empty. And it was such an eerie, weird, beautiful thing. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so share your story about COVID because yeah, I mean, I had it, but I had very mild symptoms. Everyone was so different on how they were impacted.
So
So,
true. Yeah,
yeah.
no rhyme or reason to it for sure. I never even thought I'd get it. Not that I thought I was above it or anything. I just was super healthy. And in fact, I had zero medical records at the hospital when they had me get when I checked in. And within the first 30 days I was in the first hospital, there was 422 on my app. So
Wow.
like just in 30 days. So they just had no baseline to go by. And to have to go through like the anxiety of not being able to breathe. I mean, I just it's funny the nurses would say to my sisters, why, like, are you sure she wasn't on anxiety medicine? And they're like, she was on no drugs when she walked in here. And they're like, she's really bad. And, I couldn't really talk. And it was like, let me take your oxygen away and let's see how you react.
Yes.
Can't breathe.
Yeah.
But so I was home for I got the Delta version at a conference and they did all the right things. I mean, sure, I probably hugged people because I'm a hugger, but I wasn't going to live in that fear anymore. We were just starting to get back to things. It was a conference I went to every year, and I got the Delta Virgin, came home on the airplane. I always think how many people I infected on that plane. I had no idea that I had it.
Yeah.
I tested finally, like this was Sunday night, tested Tuesday. I got up Tuesday morning before I found out I had it, and I had a pitch to a company. I was starting a new company called Retreat R&R,
Mhm.
and it was for retreat leaders. And I was pitching to a company to partner with, and they had a billionaire backer. So like I was not going to cancel that. When you ever
Mhm.
we're women, so you put your makeup on and it's
Do
melting
it.
off as fast as
Yep.
it, ugh, those
Make your
days.
hair bigger and more
Yeah.
makeup and more lipstick, and you're good to go. Let's go.
Yeah. And it was
Yes.
Zoom. It was about 9 people. And I just said, hey, full disclosure, I'm just not at my best today. I think I've got the flu, but I didn't want to reschedule. We'd already rescheduled once or twice. And I'm like, no, this is happening. So I went ahead and did it, and I knew they loved it. I knew it was going to go further, but then I ended up down. We were in an RV, fifth wheel, waiting for our house to close that we had under contract. We had sold our house, and so we were living in my dad's backyard, which sounds weird, but it's like a spa. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy, it's like staying at a resort. It was really, we weren't roughing it too bad, but it was such close quarters, and so I brought it to my husband. He had it for a couple of days. We were in there for a week, wouldn't let anyone come in or talk to us other than the phone, leave us food on the steps. I don't remember eating it. I don't really remember anything that week.
Yeah.
And then after day 7, I just woke him up about 4:30 in the morning, and I'm pretty intuitive anyway, but I was like, I knew I was in trouble. Felt like an elephant sitting on my chest. I said, we need to go to the hospital now. We didn't call an ambulance because we didn't want to give it to anybody. And
Yeah.
so he drives us there somehow because he was about 2 days behind me in his journey.
Mm.
And he never got hospitalized, but he was on oxygen, had blood clots. And so drops me off at the front of the hospital, goes to park, and they already had me on my way to the ICU that quick by the time he got in the door. So
Wow.
they're like, yeah, you can't go see her because you have COVID. You can't go up there. So I didn't see him for 3.5 weeks, and that was really
Wow.
tough. I feel sorry for the people though. Before that, couldn't have any visitors. People died alone, and so there were a lot of like tender mercies in my story. Even though it was hard and challenging, I could have one person every 24 hours. I have twin sisters just younger than me, and they just stepped right up to the plate. They lived in the same town. They're the busiest ones in my, family of 11. And they were just there. I mean, they were there 24/7. And it's funny, for as independent as I am, I needed them there. Like I don't know if it was for the hope, to give me hope, for accountability, to help with the, make sure there's nurses doing what they're supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing it, just all kinds of crazy things. And so I had 70 days. I got checked in. That was my first day of 70 in the hospital, two hospitals. I had two intubations, a trachea, sepsis, another life-threatening infection. I don't know the name too, but they said that probably would take me out more than the COVID. So
Really?
it was bad.
Yeah.
And it just hanging on for dear life. They kept me in a coma probably about 30 days off and on, self-induced. And I was really glad because I had lost all five senses. So let me tell you what that looks like.
Oh my gosh.
Your senses, how important they are. And
Yeah.
when you lose some of them, how much more important they are. Just when you have an ear infection, you can't hear. If you wear glasses and they break, or contacts and they rip.
Yeah.
My hands, they tie them to a bed. Like they tie them when down below when you're on a ventilator because they don't want you to pull it out.
Yeah. That would make
And
sense.
yeah, so they had my hands tied, so I couldn't touch anything. And then taste and smell were gone from COVID. And
Yeah.
I'm way past legally blind. And so without correction, I couldn't see who anyone was unless they were about 8 inches in front of my face. And then they all were wearing yellow hats and masks and
Math and everything.
down and glasses. Most of them, I was looking at some pictures the other day, and I'm like, all my respiratory people had glasses on. I don't know if they were, maybe they were safety glasses for
Maybe.
COVID. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they all looked the same. I mean, you can't tell who's who. And so it was scary, you know, and then the ventilator took like 90% of my hearing away. So everybody sounded like the Charlie Brown school teacher. Wah, wah, wah.
Mm.
So it was a scary place to be. So when I was put in sedation and stuff, I was happy because I was going to some awesome places and didn't have to deal with reality. So
Okay, so 70 days in, lost all your senses basically. And then was your husband ever admitted into the hospital or he just do it at home? He just kind of went through.
yeah, I mean, he could have been, but you know, like, I didn't go for a week because I didn't want to be in there. I'm more of a natural healer. And I
Yeah.
mean, I got every drug on the planet. He was on oxygen for a little while and he had some blood clots. And I think he would have gotten better faster if he wouldn't have been worried about me.
Yeah. Oh,
But, you know,
100%.
our kids are raised, so we're empty nesters. And so it's just him and me. And then to know your significant others in there and you can't even see them.
Yeah, that would be very, very
It was
scary.
hard.
And then the rest of your family too. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, my
you're-
sister's, 3 weeks in. I think I got the trachea at like 3.5 weeks, like
yeah,
the 23rd, 24th day, and that's the first day he saw me. So he never saw me on a ventilator, which is probably good.
that's probably
But
good.
luckily we have Zoom and FaceTime, and we were able to do things like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and we have 8 adult children, so there was and
Okay,
lots
so
of grandkids.
so you have 8 kids and you're one of 11 kids?
So I'm one of 9 kids, 11 with my
Okay.
parents, and
Okay.
we raised and we have almost 19 grandkids, but then we probably had 16 or 17.
Oh my gosh. So then, so you've got all your kids worrying about you and your husband, and then you've got all your siblings, your parents, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you went through some pretty significant issues through that 70 days in the hospital and a couple of experiences that you had. Are you willing to share those with us?
Yeah, so let me first of all, I want to explain what what they are, their differences, because it took me, I think, 2 years after I got out of the hospital to even understand. I hear
Okay.
that it takes about 10 years to unpack everything from like a near-death experience. So I'm only 4 years in.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm still getting more, which is so cool that I realize things all the time. But so there's out-of-body experiences. And then there's near death experience, and then there's spiritual transformative experience. So they call that STE, NDE, OBE is the names. Well, I didn't know they were any different. And my STE, the spiritual one, I thought was an NDE. Like I thought I had 2 of those till I realized they were different.
Mhm.
And the spiritual one I'll share with you because I don't know who your listeners, if they're spiritual. I mean, God's my higher power
Mhm.
more than ever now. And I respect anything anybody else believes in, totally. But when I speak, that's what it is for me. And I was about, let's see, it was in my spiritual experience was my last experience, and I'll
Mhm.
share why. So I had a cousin that's like a sister cousin, and she sent a text to my whatever sister was there that day and just said, "Hey, I had this really spiritual experience, and I normally wouldn't text it, but she lived in a different state, and she says, I know Holly's not doing very well right now, and I really think she needs to hear this. Will you please read it to her?"
Mhm.
And the gist of it was had been praying for my husband and I, that our well-being, and all these spirits surrounded her. And she asked one by one who they were and listed all their names and, basically letting me know how much support we have from the other side.
Hmm.
Still chokes me up. And so I got put back in sedation, and I remember I was at first at reading, I'm like, that's great. Wow, how special. But then I got ticked off. I was like, my prayers were really changing at that point. I mean, it was weeks in. I mean, this is probably 3.5, 4 weeks in. And I'm getting pretty burned out from fighting. And I was praying that to God, if you're not going to get me better, then get me out of here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, kind of be careful what you wish for. The other thing I was thinking was, this isn't fair. Why did she get that and I didn't? I'm the one suffering.
Yeah.
And who comes when you're in trouble when you're little to scold you, mommy?
Yeah.
Well, my mom had passed away about 18 months before this. I was in the hospital,
Mm.
and she had been at my side on my right side. She'd come a lot, but I'd never really like I knew she was there as a presence, but this
Mm,
time she spoke to me. And so
mhm.
she came to my side and probably to put me in check, my redheaded self. And she said, it's not your time to be here and you need to fight. And when she said the word fight, I'm laying in my bed, and above me come all of my ancestors who have passed away, all in white. So grandparents, aunts, uncles. My brother had passed away in a really bad car wreck, and then his wife had a car wreck a couple years before that. I had lost a grandbaby like just 5 months earlier at 2 days old. She was a adult though. She was like early 20s, I would say, but I knew it was her,
Yeah.
and that was really special. And then they all started chanting, "Fight, fight, fight." And when as they did it, every time the word would get spoken, a whole new group of people would appear behind them and start chanting. And now they're in street clothes, so I understand they're alive. The white people are all passed on those street clothes. And they just start, and it just kept going. My husband comes, the kids come, the siblings come, the friends come. And then I start seeing like thousands of people. Like if you took a two-way mirror and could just look as far as you could see people. And I just thought, wow, it was just so defining for me to know that, oh, got it. All I got to do is fight. I'm going to live, but I need to fight. And that's the support team I have behind me. And
Wow.
later I realized all those other people, I mean, remember, we're hanging on to social media at that point. That was our lifeline. And
Mhm.
so my sister updating on my Facebook account, for instance, was how they even knew if I was alive. And
Yeah.
so hundreds of people would comment on every time she'd post. They thought she was posting every day. I hear it all the time. And maybe once a week, maybe twice. She said, because there wasn't a lot of change. Some weeks, nothing. I wasn't better and it wasn't worse. And I think those were all those prayer chains I was on, all those people there were the ones that were praying for me in behalf of me because of other people. And I saw all of them. And so anyway, that was kind of a really cool experience. The out of body ones, they're funny. I mean, they're kind of creepy too. I went just to sum some of those up. I went back in time most of the time in out of body. So out of body's when you you basically are out and you leave and you go on a journey. So like some people can do that in meditation, astral traveling, different things like that. I knew nothing about any of that.
Yeah.
Well, with me, I knew I was sick and I knew that body. So sometimes I would see my body in there and I would be able to watch it and I knew I wasn't doing well, but I thought if I went on my journey, I wouldn't get my body back. So I just took my whole bed and we went on my journeys and I took it with me. And so I didn't stay in my bed most of the time, but I remember most of the time I had my bed. But I went back about into a pioneer house, and it's only about 15 minutes from where I live right now. I knew I had been there before, and I thought it was a relative. It ended up being a great, great, great grandfather's home. And he lived there some of the time off and on. But I always went to this little Parowan, Utah town and was in there. And I mean, there was some weird stuff that happened there, but I did go present time a couple times and there's some stories around that. But I never did go in the future. Like it was always out of body was either right at that time, something was happening, but somewhere else.
Mm.
Like for instance, one time I was in the hospital and a couple doors down from me, my ex-brother-in-law, his brother was also in the ICU. Same thing. He'd pulled out his ventilator a couple times.
Mm.
And I knew he was a smoker, just not healthy and stuff. And I remember standing at his door looking in his window and I knew he was going to die. Like just to know that. And he
Yeah.
did. And just some experiences like that. But anyway,
And these out of body, is that what you experienced first? Because you said like the spiritual experience is what you experienced on the end, right? That was your last, one of the
that was my
last.
last experience, knowing I'd
Yeah.
live. Yeah, the out of body were probably the first 3-ish weeks or so. The near death I know it was between my first and second intubation. So like anywhere from day 6 to day 10
Mm.
because when I went on that one, so I'll tell you, I'll sum that one up. Sorry, I have to think how to tell it short. They are long stories. So that one I left in my bed and I was going down the hospital hallway this time. And I got up like sat up kind of and shook my finger at the nurse's station and said, I rescind my DNR. I rescind my DNR, which is do not resuscitate, which I don't even know for sure if I had one. I know I had to sign a bunch of things
Yeah.
for them to put the ventilator in me, like half dead, you're signing things. And so that was my journey. And I go down the hallway, and all these other beds are going down the hallway with me, which now I know were other people dying in the hospital because half of the
Wow.
people were dying.
Huh.
And then I ended up in this big stadium. I call the Stadium of Light, and I tell this whole story in my book. But all these stories, I'm in there with thousands of people again, probably hundreds of thousands, but I could tell like people were stacked on each other and they were all wearing like really white or light clothing, and I could see feet. So I knew nobody was like on the ground. And
Yeah.
there was all this communication going telepathically, like light speed. So if I had a thought, I had an answer before my thought was almost even complete. Like it
Wow.
was just the gift. I have a gift of knowing before. It's probably enhanced, yes. And
Mm.
if people listening have that gift, you know what I'm saying. When people say, "How do you know that?" You just know. When you have that, that's just one of your gifts. You just know something. It's not that you're psychic or anything like maybe you are, but just saying. I was just like, you just know things. It was like that. It was like the gift now of all knowing, and you could just experience everything. So
Mm.
I had a concert in there, is what I called it. It was angelic music, and I knew the words to every song, even though I'd never heard them before. But I think the knowing
Mhm.
is why. And then I saw a life review, and then I was told, and I'm telling you really quickly this story. I was told to do a couple things. I was told to go start this nonprofit called Adventure Bucket Wish, with
Okay.
no other assignment, nothing attached to it, no mission, just the name. And I
Mhm.
was told, remember that partnership I wanted to do when I pitched?
Yeah.
I was told not to partner with them very clearly. It was like, that
Ah,
is not the highest and best thing to do for the company. It's going to take you longer, but it needs to be yours. Do not do it. And it's interesting because I found out just this last year a bunch of things now of why. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and later you find out and you're like, man, I'm glad I followed my intuition, or man, I'm glad I listened to that answer to that prayer that I didn't want, things like that. Anyway, so then I was just sent back. And when I came back, I didn't get a choice. And so here I am back in my body. My sister Jill was there with me. I was doing better. And so she left and ran an errand, came back, and then I came out. And she said, I had to spell on an alphabet and I had to point at the letters and I could barely do it because I just didn't have any energy. Sometimes it took 2 hours for one word, and I'd be so exhausted. I'd be like,
yeah.
forget it. Just put me back in a coma.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm spelling to her KID, and she's like trying to help. Oh, you want me to tell your kids something? No. NAP. And she's like, when you spelled kidnap, she goes, first I looked around the room and I was like, what just happened? I just ran an errand,
Yes.
what she goes, I wanted to like get the garbage can and throw up. I was
Yeah.
so like, what happened? Right then, she didn't, that's all she got. And then the doctor walked in with the nurse to extubate me because I was doing great because I'd just come back.
Yeah.
And they took the tubes out. And then she said you could talk, but not very well. There were still spirits in my room, but no, I realized quickly nobody could see them but me.
Hmm.
The doctor leaves, and then it's like that's kind of the end of that part. And
Yeah.
then, but I never could figure out like why was I kidnapped? Why did I just come from heaven and now
Yeah.
I'm saying I got kidnapped? I
Mhm.
didn't find that answer out till 2 years later.
Wow.
So you want that story?
Yes.
Yes. What is the
You
answer to
cannot leave us
I
hanging.
know this is like the best. It was almost like
Oh,
another near-death experience, even though it was under hypnosis. So, first of all, I incorporated within about between 3 and 4 months the nonprofit, got the 501(c)(3) in like 25 days. So many miracles to my story. I mean, I never had medical insurance my whole life till 2 months before and ended up with $1 million hospital bill.
oh wow.
Like, just lots of things happened, some crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Not crazy, but special things.
Yeah.
So okay, so then I had what I call the 2 years of hell, which was really only about a year and 8 or 9 months, but it's eternity when you're going through it.
Hmm.
Everything went wrong. You think everybody would gravitate to you because you almost died, and it was like I repelled everyone, and I had family issues. I had stuff going on with grandkids and DCFS, and I had to hire two attorneys, and I mean, every bad day in my life times 1,000 is what it felt like every day. I prayed every day I would have died. I was like, why would you save me to put me through this hell?
Yeah.
I know now, looking back, that there were lessons I had to learn and lessons I had to go through for the philanthropy work I'm choosing to do and that I'm planning, that's a plan. So I get it now, but at the time it was awful. So after the 2 years, I found IANS, which is International Association for Near-Death Studies. And I went to their conference. I went as a vendor. And so I learned a little bit. That's how I found out about other OBEs and STEs. And that's how I found there was a difference. So that was great. And then I asked my friend if he'd do a hypnosis session. I had been trained already, so I was very well aware of the process. He agreed, and so here's the rest of the story. So we go into this near-death, we go to do it on the near-death experience, and I'm thinking I'm going to revisit this greatest concert I'd ever been to in the Stadium of Light. Oh no, I end up in the in-between is what I call it. It wasn't dark and it wasn't light. So the dark is on the right and the light is on the left, and there's matter floating around, which also was in the Stadium of Light. But you could see through it. So it's like my senses are heightened in the Stadium of Light, but there was also like matter, like clear, but like fog, but you could see through it. Everything was really clear. Well, in the in between, it was like cobalt blue and silver and gray and black and all this icky colors, dark colors. And so then he said, "Well, is there an entity there?" We realized there is. He, through me, talks to the entity, finds out his name's Darby. He wants my light. He can't have it. He can't go to the light. He just wants my light. So he took me. Well, there's the kidnap. I still didn't figure this out till about a year ago, believe it or not. That's why I got kidnapped, because when I went from the hallway of the hospital to the stadium skybox, I felt like there was stuff missing. Well, he took me then. So I didn't get to the stadium until later. That was the end of the story.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.